Not all neighborhoods in Kitchener are the same, and choosing the right one can make all the difference. In this video, I'm breaking down the most desirable areas to live in Kitchener. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer, growing your family, or relocating from the GTA, so you know exactly what makes this neighborhood stand out in today's market. Stay tuned and let's dive right in. Hello and welcome. My name is Stanley. I am a local real estate agent serving Kitchener and surrounding towns, and I got people just like you reach out to me every single day looking for help in making their move in and around Kitchener-Waterloo, and I absolutely love it. So whether you are thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info is right below. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. Right, so you can probably see my screen by now, and I have my first neighborhood pulled up here. We're going to talk about Huron South. And when it comes to neighborhood, it's hard not to mention this neighborhood. In fact, if you have been following my channel, you've probably heard me talk about this neighborhood again and again. And, frankly speaking, a lot of first-time home buyers, at least my clients, they end up one way or another in this neighborhood. Many of them, not all of them, but some of the main reasons why is because, one, Huron South is a neighborhood where you have seen majority of the residential development in last 15 to 20 years. So that's what typically a first-time home buyer is looking for, homes that are not too old. Secondly, you're close to many great amenities, and you'll find a lot of young and active and growing families settle down in this neighborhood. So the neighborhood vibe does actually well align with what they have been looking for, and most of these first-time home buyer families are those young and growing families. Thirdly, you have access to all the major amenities pretty much at your doorstep. I mean, this Fisher-Harmon Road will take you to the Sunrise Shopping Plaza, which is an outdoor strip mall. Again, through the same Fisher-Harmon, you could get to the Highway 8. Excuse my drawing here. Let me pull up the map. But the same Fisher-Harmon Road will get you to the Highway 8. So getting in and out of the town from this neighborhood is not that bad. You have like a short drive to get you to the highway, and this is the mall I was talking about. So the amount of new development we are seeing in this neighborhood is just amazing. In fact, I did a video about some couple of recent new development that are happening right here in this neighborhood. You can say arguably at the border of this neighborhood, but there's a whole new plaza that's coming up right here. There's a new Longos, and that RBG Schlegel Park, they are turning it into a multi-activity indoor rec center, similar to like a YMCA kind of setup. So lot of new development that this neighborhood has seen, and the growth does continue. And in terms of housing stock, you are looking at mostly townhomes. You are looking at 2-story and 3-story layouts, as well as you are looking at a good amount of single and double garage detached. So whether you are looking for that starter home or if you're looking to settle down, people have ton of options that they find in terms of housing stock in the Huron South. So that's what makes it a desirable neighborhood. And again, it's a great neighborhood. If you do visit that, you will definitely find the vibe to be pretty good. Now, another great neighborhood I want to talk about, which is not too far from here, is Rosenberg actually. And this is the neighborhood which has seen mostly 3 to 5 year old homes. If you're looking for something that's literally built within last 5 years, and if you're still looking for something either brand new or in resale, this is the neighborhood that will come up a lot in your search. I'll tell you why, because Matme has done extensive development in this very neighborhood. They have done the Wildflower Crossing community, which is done now, fully sold out, and in fact, I think that most of the homes are closed. But they have Wildflowers now, which is again they're building extensively range of townhomes, 30 feet wide lot detached and 36 feet wide, as well as there's another builder called Heathwood Homes, who is also extensively doing a lot of new developments. I'm talking about residential development right here in this neighborhood. But again, talking about the brand new development, I mean, typically what you see when the new subdivision pops up in a town, you always go through the growing pains of not having a lot of amenities nearby. But here we are in Rosenberg. I want to just highlight a few things. Highway 8 is like a short drive through the Trussler Road on one end. You could go to Fisher-Harmon as well. Sunrise Shopping Plaza, pretty much at your doorstep, just a short drive. And right within, like, we talked about Huron Park, like you're pretty much at the border of Huron South. Just excuse my drawing here, but I'm trying to show you guys the fact that all the amenities are very much close by, even if you were to move into this brand new community. So you won't go through the growing pains of a growing community. And just a side note, this Nani's Gelato, a great place to try. If you haven't tried it, I tell you, you will fall in love with it. There's a lot of this fusion flavors, like Indian flavors as well. So you'll fall in love with the quality of the gelato at this place. But that's just a tip from a local who is living here. I've been several times to this place and we always have fun. Moving on to my next neighborhood, and that's gonna be, by the way, like Matamy Homes, the homes I mentioned. If in fact you want to find out more about the Wildflowers, I have done tour of their model homes. They were kind enough to give me access, and feel free to check it out on my channel. I'll link below in the description, and you can see the thumbnails right here. The next one on my list is Williamsburg. This neighborhood is not as new of a neighborhood in terms of residential development, but the variety of housing stock you will find in Williamsburg is just amazing. What you see, you are basically bordering Fisher-Harmon on one hand, you have Bleams Road at the back of it, and if you were to go further down, that's where you have Highway 8. But the neighborhood, this is highly desirable because the Williamsburg Public School is pretty much at your doorstep living here, and you can see it's at the center of this neighborhood. Again, just check the school boundary. I will link that in the description so you know exactly which school your kid will be attending depending on the civic address. But Williamsburg Public School is one of the highly rated elementary school in Kitchener and across the Waterloo region. So that's part of the reason if you're looking for a great school in Kitchener, Williamsburg will give you a great option. I mean, it's definitely one of the top options when you're looking for a neighborhood with good school. What you're looking for in terms of residential development and the housing stock, you're looking at homes built in the late 90s and early 2000s. So you're not going to see a lot of homes built in last 15 to 20 years. In fact, barely anything was developed in last 15 to 20 years. You will have to go into the late 90s and early 2000s. That's what majority of the housing in this neighborhood comprised of. What you will be looking at is, variety of options. Like there are condo townhomes, there are, detached homes. I'm looking at like smaller detached, 30 feet wide to double garage detached. And there is a range of semi-detached homes as well, which is hard to find these days. We don't see any builder doing new development of semi-detached homes. So this neighborhood will give you some really good price points as well, because of the fact that, it's not as new of a development, but the neighborhood is good. You have almost immediate access to some great amenities at your doorstep, and you're not going too far. I mean, you are still within last 25 to 30 years, going into the late 90s and early 2000s. So that's the, overall dynamics of this particular neighborhood. But if you are looking to settle down on my drawing is driving me crazy. But if you are looking to settle down on the west end of Kitchener, Williamsburg could be a great option for especially first-time home buyers. Now, this next neighborhood on my list is Forest Heights. Let me see if I can spell it right. I did. All right, so this neighborhood is great in terms of dynamics. You'll find a lot of old money in this neighborhood. Still on the west end, you can see it's basically bordering Highway 8 on one end and Fisher-Harmon on the other end. So all the amenities are very much close by. Overall neighborhood dynamics are great. You will not see a lot of turnaround of homes in this patch. However, just one thing that's worth noting, you will not find a lot of new development. So you will have to go more so. You are looking at bungalows, split level homes located on a large lots. That's what you're looking at. You're not looking at a lot of those 2-story layouts or the homes that are built in last 15 to 20 years in Forest Heights. You were looking at a lot of older construction, but bigger lots, some very well kept homes, and you're looking at layouts of bungalows, back split, side split, those split level homes. That's what you will find in this neighborhood. But again, if you're okay with it, and if in fact you are looking for something like that, then Forest Heights will give you a great option. It's like an established community. It is a mature community, so you will not find the neighborhood dynamics to be the same as of the Huron South or that of the the Rosenberg, which is fairly new communities. But Forest Heights is rather more on the mature and established side of the neighborhood. But again, a great neighborhood worth considering if you are especially not looking for that typical two-story layouts, but you want something like a bungalow or a split level home. A great neighborhood that should be on your radar. In fact, I've done a tour of this neighborhood, so feel free to check it out on my channel about Forest Heights, so you can see all that you need to know about this neighborhood and why it makes it a great one. The next neighborhood I want to talk about is Highland West. This is again a great neighborhood. You're pretty much at the border of Kitchener and Waterloo living in the Highland West. I'll tell you why, because you can see the one end of the neighborhood pretty much borders University Avenue. That's what is the border of Kitchener and Waterloo. If you were to look at the west end border of Kitchener, that's what it is. But talking about this, like Highland West, again, you will not find a lot of new development in terms of housing stock. You are likely looking at a lot of two-story layouts, some bungalow style homes, and a lot of semis and detached. Not a lot of townhomes. You will mostly find semis and detached in variety of sizes. And yes, there is some new rental development that's happening at the one end border of this neighborhood. But overall, you will be looking at homes built in the 80s, 90s, and some in the early 2000s, but not a lot after it. One thing I do want to point out, living in Highland West, why a lot of people like is, like I said, one, you are at the border of Kitchener and Waterloo, so accessing some great amenities of both towns will be very much accessible. But at the same time, some great shopping options right at your doorstep with the the Boardwalk shopping mall. Again, I've mentioned it multiple times in my videos in the past, but although it is in Waterloo, living in this community or this neighborhood, it'll be pretty much at your doorstep. So you can see, like, you have Walmart, like the Boardwalk has about, I think, 50 or 55 stores. It's like a outdoor strip mall. So you have almost immediate access to some great shopping amenities living in Highland West. So this is the most west you could get living in Kitchener. Like, that's the west end border of Kitchener, and again, a great neighborhood on the west end. Now, I think we covered all the great neighborhoods. Laurentian West is good too, very similar to Williamsburg. So I will not go in too much detail about it, but I want to take you guys on the east end of Kitchener now, and let me see what I have written here. Pioneer Park. We're going to talk about this neighborhood. Again, you can completely say it's on the east end of Kitchener, but more like central between the east and west. But take a look at this. So Pioneer Park neighborhood, you will find some great neighborhood dynamics in this neighborhood. You have Conestoga College that is very close if you have school-going kids or kids going to college. But at the same time, you have very close access directly to the Highway 401. So if you are a commuter who has to go on Highway 401 on and off on a regular basis, well, you have almost immediate access through this Homer Watson Boulevard living in the Pioneer Park. Unlike some of the west end neighborhoods that we talked about, where you will have to get on Highway 8 to get you then on Highway 401. These are one of the some of the great neighborhoods that will give you direct access to the Highway 401, and that will obviously cut down some of your commute time going in and out of the city. One of the other things worth noting, Pioneer Park, you will not find a lot of new homes or newer developments. The southern end of that neighborhood, we have another neighborhood I'm going to talk about, which is Doon South. That's where you will find a lot of new development happen, similar to Huron South. But coming back to Pioneer Park, you will find homes mostly, again, a range of split level homes, and you will also find some townhouse communities, more like a condominium townhouse communities in this neighborhood as well. But overall neighborhood dynamics, you are looking at a good mix. You are surrounded by a lot of green space. You have almost immediate access to the Highway 401. But just keep in mind, if you are looking for something that's built within the last 10 to 15 years or say early 2000s, I have to tell you, you will not find a lot of great options you will have to go slightly older in terms of the construction, because this is a rather, I would say, more like an established neighborhood versus some of the newer neighborhoods that we touched upon earlier in this video. So Pioneer Park, again, as a neighborhood, one of the great neighborhoods that you can consider. Just one thing I want to actually talk about since we are here. In this neighborhood, you will find some townhomes, especially the condo townhomes, which have notoriously high condominium fees. I mean, you will find a good price points. That's what you will find, affordable entry points for those first-time home buyers. But some of the condo towns have condo fees as high as $500, sometimes I've seen as high as $700. And I would caution you guys to just stay away from some of those communities unless it makes sense. Again, if you're working with a real estate agent, continue to work with them, see what's right for you. But just keep in mind, when it comes to townhomes, there are not a lot of lucrative options. A lot of these townhomes communities in Pioneer Park, because of that dated communities, they do tend to have a lot high in the condominium fees. So just something that you have to keep in mind if you are actively looking and if you find that this neighborhood is something that might connect with you and family. Just keep that in mind before you dive into it a little bit too deep. But in terms of split level and detached homes, even the freehold semis, there are some great options in this neighborhood. So that's a little bit about Pioneer Park. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to continue going on the east end of Kitchener, this kind of southeast, but we are looking at a neighborhood you probably heard if you are looking to buy in Kitchener, maybe someone from your friends or family. This is the neighborhood that has seen some good amount of development in the recent past. When I say recent past, it's like, last 15 to 20 years. Doon South, like you're looking mostly homes in the early 2000s to the present day. Overall neighborhood dynamics are really great. You are looking at similar dynamics to that of the not the Grand River South, but the Huron South, right? You're looking at a lot of young and growing families. If you're a commuter, this could be a great neighborhood because you can see you have direct access to the Highway 401. And I can tell you, not a lot of neighborhoods in Kitchener will give you that kind of an immediate access. However, if you are a commuter who works locally, let's say in Waterloo or Kitchener, like especially on the west end of Kitchener, that could be, Doon South could fall a little bit too south for you, because as you can see, accessing Waterloo, you will be looking at about 20 to 25 minute drive. So if you are a commuter, you want to rather stay a little bit west of Kitchener if you have to commute to Waterloo. But overall, if you have to rather commute east to, let's say, Greater Toronto area or anywhere east of Kitchener, 401 is pretty much at your doorstep living in this neighborhood. What you will find in the housing stock in Doon South, again, I've done a separate tour of this entire neighborhood on my channel, so feel free to check that out. But let me tell you, what you will find is a range of townhomes. There are condo townhomes, there are some starter level townhomes that are freehold, and then you will find a range of detached homes. So ton of new development. Overall dynamics of the construction in terms of what you can find, mostly two-story, not any bungalows or split level homes, but the caliber of homes, it does vary greatly. So whether you are looking for that starter home or if you're looking for a destination home, I can tell you Doon South will give you a ton of options. But also worth noting that, because the construction is rather newer than some of those mature neighborhoods, you will find the prices to be slightly higher than that some of the other neighborhoods. I mean, compared to Williamsburg or Laurentian West or some of these neighborhoods, similar two-story townhomes in Doon South, because they are newer and modern layouts, you will find the prices to be slightly higher than what you can find. I mean, in other words, you'll find more value for your money by going slightly older in some of the other neighborhoods, unless you have to find or you want to go with something rather newer. So that's a food for thought. But overall, Doon South, a great neighborhood, especially for young families looking to settle down while being close access to the Highway 401. Overall, it's a great option. I am going to touch upon my other favorite neighborhood if you are on the east end of Kitchener. This neighborhood, I mean, you're looking at more like a, completely like, how do I say it? You're looking more like, we call it like Oakville of Kitchener. right? It's not luxury. Like luxury, what I define is Hidden Valley, Deer Ridge. These are some luxury neighborhoods. The caliber of homes are like above, like on an average 2 million and up. But Grand River South is, in terms of the caliber of this neighborhood, I would say it's very similar to, I like to call it like Oakville of Kitchener, in terms of that's to define the community vibes that you will find in this neighborhood. Most of the homes built, especially on the southern end, which is the Grand River South. There is also Grand River North, where you will find slightly rather older construction that has seen new developments in the late 90s, 80s, and the 2000s. Not a lot after that. However, Grand River South, the southern part of this patch, has seen some new developments from early 2000s to the present day. I mean, there is actually Lackner Ridge condos, like there are some new subdivisions that are popping up in the Grand River South neighborhood. And one thing I do want to point out, even though it's to east end of Kitchener, you do have a close access to Highway 8. Secondly, if you were to live in Grand River South, you have almost immediate access to the Fairway Road. Now, this is the the main street that connects you to all the major shopping options in Kitchener, including the Fairview Park Mall. I don't know why it's not coming up, but yeah, the Fairview Park Mall is pretty much on the Fairway Road, just on this side. Okay, here it is. So just the other side of Highway 8 is where you have Fairview Park Mall. So, all the shopping options, you have immediate access to highway. But if you see, the neighborhood itself is very quiet, very secluded, very private. And you will look at mostly 2-story homes. You're not looking at a lot of split level or bungalow style homes. You're looking at basically those 2-story homes in variety of sizes, ranging from anywhere about 1400 square feet, all the way to there are some double garage homes, detached homes located on a 36 feet wide lot, and they are well over 3,000 square feet. So whatever your price point may be, if you are looking to settle down on the east end of Kitchener, this could be a great option. Now, continuing on the east end of Kitchener, I do want to talk about a few mature and established neighborhoods. So similar to what we found in the Forest Heights on the west end, very similar characteristics of the neighborhood. We have Heritage Park and Rosemount, as well as the Stanley Park. Now, all of them are on the east end of Kitchener. They are rather mature and the established neighborhoods. You will not find a lot of newer development in these neighborhoods. But if you are looking to settle down in a mature and the established neighborhood, which has not those typical 2-story layouts, but more like a bungalow and split level homes, you want to be in the Heritage Park, Rosemount. Even the Stanley Park is not a bad option. And because they are already established, like you have immediate access to some great amenities living in any of this neighborhood. I mean, east end of Kitchener has not seen as much of a new development compared to the west end of the Kitchener. That's just how it has been. That if you look at the town of Kitchener and how it has seen the development, mostly went from east to the west, and that's evident when you look at some of these neighborhoods from east to west. But Heritage Park, Rosemount, and Stanley Park, some great neighborhoods worth considering. Now, one of the other last neighborhood that I want to talk about is the Grand River North. I mentioned earlier the southern end of Grand River is where you will see rather newer development. Grand River North, again, equally great neighborhood in terms of overall dynamics. It's just that you will not find a lot of new developments in the Grand River North. So if you are okay to settle down with 80s and 90s homes built, not much after 2000s, then you could consider looking into the Grand River North. One thing you will have is you will have a close access to the the Bingamans, which is like a multi-activity rec center. Like they have a bowling alley. I mean, there are a bunch of stuff there. If you want to have fun time with family, then we here in Kitchener, this is one of the places we do hang out a lot in. So these are some of the great neighborhoods of Kitchener. Honestly, I would consider living in myself on any given day with my family to any of these neighborhoods that I have mentioned here. However, one thing you might have noticed is they all have different dynamics, right? They all have different things to offer in terms of real estate, in terms of amenities, all those things. So you have to see for you and your family which neighborhood is best aligned to your own requirements. And those are some of the neighborhoods that you should consider and keep in your radar. And this is where a job of a real estate agent could come to play to really filter things down and find you that perfect home that meets most of what you are looking for. But that pretty much is a wrap to this video. I am going to do one more video about some of the neighborhoods that I would avoid when moving into Kitchener, Ontario. So if you want to look into that, I'll do a similar format. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up next. But nonetheless, if you got some value in this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and tap on that bell so you get notified the first when the new video pops out. And whether you are thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info is right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move in and around Kitchener, Waterloo. Until next time, well, I will continue to show you around town.